What's up, gang? My name is James White. Welcome to the Signalnoise broadcast. Today, we're going to be looking at the Art of Tron Legacy. Let's do it. All right, the Art of Tron Legacy. Just a little bit of a preemptive measure, gang. I apologize about the glare that's going to be hitting the corners of these pages. I have two stupid ring lights that are just off camera here, and they were not cooperating with me at all when I was trying to set everything up. So I'm going to try to keep the book as flat as possible to reduce that glare, but you'll already see it hitting the spine and stuff. So hopefully that won't take away from the art too much, because we got a lot of dope stuff to look at in this book. So the lead up to Tron Legacy, I was all about the hype. I did some fan art. I was really excited for it, and when it came out, obviously, first in line, saw it, loved it, and I love it to this day. You know, for whatever reason, it gets a little bit of a bad rep, but I love it. I think all of the special effects and all the cinematography, and there's so much great stuff in this book that we're going to be getting into. So whenever I'm doing any like character design or environment design or anything like that, this is typically the book that I'll pull off the shelf. It is just loaded with a lot of great stuff. Things that we would only see in the movie for a few seconds. For example, this sprawling landscape of the Tron Legacy city. Yeah, let's just get into it. So, start off with an awesome pick of the first Tron. Now, a little bit of a confession. I watched the first Tron movie for the first time in about 35 years or something, not that long ago. And honestly, I wasn't too impressed. It was a little bit, the special effects were great. The character designs and how they did all of the on-screen representation of those characters looked awesome. But the story was so slow that I felt myself getting pretty bored after a while. But that's not to take away from the technological advancements that Tron brought to the screen in 1982, which is absolutely crazy. Disney was getting into the 3D animation game. They saw this new technology and they really wanted to dive in and do a movie based around that technology. And, they did it with flying colors as far as I'm concerned. The story just could have been a little bit stronger, but, who the heck am I? So this is what we're going to be dealing with in this book. A lot of concept art, a lot of shots from the movie, a lot of storyboards. And like I said, I just ate this stuff up when I first got this. So this book, I got this just after the movie came out. And I don't know if it's still in print or not. A lot of these art books, when they come out, they'll kind of be in circulation for a while and then they'll go away, which is strange. A lot of the Pixar books are like that. A lot of them I can't get. I've been trying to get The Art of Thor Ragnarok for a while, and that thing's been out of print. I haven't looked in a bit, but maybe it's back. So anyway, table of contents, won't spend too much time on that. Again, these are great. These freeze frames from the first movie are awesome to see, these polygonal graphics and stuff. And the design, for the amount of limitations that they had in that first movie, to pull out such iconic ship design, just absolutely amazing. Here's the light cycle designs for each of the characters, which is great. You got the light cycle, standard light cycle, and the Blackguard light cycle. Oh, and Clue's light cycle. He's more yellow. I'll try to call out some of the color coding in the movie too, which is really great, and has actually changed since the first test footage got released, which I'll get into. Yeah, here's some wireframes from the first movie. Yeah, just fantastic. I love seeing this stuff so much. And then it's amazing to flip from something from the 1982, looking at those wireframes, and then we flip and see like what that evolved into in 2008, I believe the movie came out. So like I said, the test footage, I think this might be part of the test footage that came out at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was in 2008. Yeah, here it is. So they released this test footage for the audience there, and it ended up online for a little while. And here's a freeze frame from it right here. So that's actually Jeff Bridges in there. And they were trying to figure out what the style of the movie was going to be and what the characters might look like and that sort of thing. And it's quite different from what ended up in the final movie. And I'll try to pull out some of those changes that happened along the way. I was a massive fan of this test footage when it came out, and I designed a fan poster for Tron Legacy based on that original footage. And when the movie came out, they ended up tweaking the color palette to be a little bit different. And I did an update of my poster, and we'll get to that in a little while. Here are some fantastic concept sketches for what the light cycle might look like. I love these automotive designs. Like sometimes I'll look at things online of people, designing actual cars, like, Camaros and that sort of thing. And how they start out with the basic shapes and lines is just super inspiring. Oh man, so here's the, I think this is the sentries? Yeah, the sentry design. So here's what they look like in the very first movie. And then, you know, what they kind of evolved into. And this is the final that you see in Tron Legacy. Like, just look at this wild ass design. It's so crazy. I can see why they kind of turned it back. I think we'll see a few moments where, you know, they get really complicated with the design and then they pull it back to simplify it, and that ended up in the final movie. Here's more shots from that test footage I'm talking about. So you'll notice that the blues are a lot more blue, and it's a green instead of a yellow or an orange that they would eventually evolve into. This was the color palette of my original fan poster that I did, this green and blue, which I really, really liked. And if they did the whole movie like this, I would have been very happy. But they ended up shifting that to something else, which again is great, but, you know, I did miss that green, I'm not going to lie. So these are some of the original concept designs for environment and character, and you'll see they're a lot more complicated than what ended up in the movie. They would strip out a lot of the detail and make it a lot more streamlined, but they looked at motorcycle racing suits as the inspiration for the Tron characters, which of course is just awesome. I'm all about designing characters that look like bikers and motorcycle racers and things, so I get it. Yeah, it's another environment design. So this here part, the movie opens up with a big sequence in NCOM when Sam busts in, he puts a computer virus in and stuff. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this stuff because this all just looks like normal stuff, like Sam's apartment. Who cares? It's not really what we're here for. There's some freeze frames of the movie. Flynn's Arcade is really cool, and here's a really cool concept sketch. And I am so in awe of people that can illustrate this stuff, because I'm looking at it on the monitor right now and it looks just like a photograph. But this is all illustrated, a concept of what Flynn's Arcade looks like, which is very cool. And there's Sam busting into it, and then you see the Tron machine right down here at the end of the hallway, and that's what he goes into. Busts into the back, sits down, gets de-rezzed, or rezzed, I guess. Shot in the back of the head with this beam anyway. There's some UI design from the computer screen, Flynn's computer screen. That's pretty cool. Then he gets zapped, and this is what we're here for, is this stuff. So, you know, this is like, as soon as this ship showed up in the film, this is the first real big reveal of, you know, what we're dealing with in the Tron universe. And I can't remember what that ship is called. I might come across it. Yeah, so the Recognizer is what the name of that ship. So when this thing comes up, it floats down, and, you know, we instantly recognize it from the first movie. There it is there. And, you know, just fleshing out the design and putting these orange rim lights and stuff. And the color coding in the movie is so good. So everything in the background will be this blue color, but everything to do with Clue, everything to do with, you know, the bad guys, if you will, have this orange tint to it. Really nice bit of color coding. Yeah, and you'll see an example of it right here. Look at this. So great. Great scale too, so you'll see the characters down here. All right, so Sam was captured, and then he's brought into kind of a headquarters, or I can't remember what they call it. Well, the armory, I guess. This is where he's going to get suited up. So he gets kind of taken down into this realm, and this is where we meet Jem for the first time. So the idea behind Jem, this character, is that a lot of the programs, a lot of the other characters, these characters are called the Sirens, by the way, but I'm talking about this Jem character. The idea is that there are programs within the Tron universe that are more advanced than other programs, and when the more advanced you get, the more synthetic you look. So the idea behind creating Jem was she's going to be a very, very advanced, very synthetic looking character, which really resonates on screen. And man, I'm really glad they didn't go with this creepy ass design. She doesn't have a mouth, and she just has like normal hair in a ponytail coming out of this synthetic head. That is creepy as hell. I'm really glad they didn't do that. So here's one of the original character designs for Sam's outfit. Again, it's like way more complicated than what it would end up being. And here's Sam in the outfit. Very cool. Like, he goes into the Deadly Disc arena, and he takes the disc off, and that's when the visor kind of appears. It kind of, like, I don't know, rezzes into existence. Really cool, right before he does battle. The color treatment of this whole sequence is great. So here's the stadium. And this thing, even on screen when I watch it to this day, I can't really understand what the hell is going on. Like, this whole stadium design is so weird because it's a bunch, I think we kind of see it here, like these are all little arenas, and they're kind of built in 360 around this thing, and they kind of move and kind of shift. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah, you can just see a better picture of it right here. So all of these are individual arenas, And I didn't know what the hell I was looking at the first time I saw the movie. It was weird. It was moving around, and I think they do that to shift gravity and stuff when the people are fighting with the discs. Very cool sequence anyway. I'm not taking away from it at all. So a little call out to this. If memory serves me correctly, my buddy G-Monk had something to do with the design of this sort of round scoreboard. So this thing keeps track of all the scores in real time. Apparently all of the names are famous computer developers, like actual computer developers. And so I didn't know that. I don't know who any of these are. I'm not into the lore. But anyway, shouts to G-Monk. I think he had something to do with this. And I'll give him a call out later on in the video because he worked on this, a lot of very cool sequences. And here's more stuff at the arena. Like, man, hats off to the character designers, or the environment designers, sorry, that can pull off this kind of stuff. Like, this looks so insanely complicated. This one here actually makes more sense to me because, like I said, it was so confusing to look at, that whole arena. It was very, very weird. But, I mean, very cool. So here we see some of the storyboard sequences of Sam fighting this dude. This is a really good reveal. So this guy takes off his disc and it lights up, and then we see Sam the focus shifts and we see Sam through the ring. That's really cool. Here he is throwing the disc. Oh, and this is part of what we're here for, man. Rinsler is one of the coolest damn characters in this movie, and his reveal when he jumps at Sam, he just kicks his ass. It's so great. And his idea is his discs are the two different colors, so he has the good guy and the bad guy colors, and that plays into the story later on. I'll do my best not to do any spoilers or whatever, because this is a really great movie, and I do recommend everybody checking it out if you haven't seen it already. The reveal of the light cycle is rad as hell. So they get these little rod things. You hit a button, and it kind of reses into existence, and it does this awesome sort of pixelation effect. It's really cool. And here's a pan through of, where we started with the original Tron and where we ended up with Tron Legacy and these light cycle designs. And I gotta watch the movie again because I gotta pay attention to this one element. These designs have the bike kind of morphing into the person that's driving it. You see that? It's kind of attached. And I can't remember if that's a part of the movie or they're completely detached. But they didn't do the person sitting on the light cycle in the original movie because of the limitations of the 3D. So they couldn't put a person on there and make it look convincing. So they had the thing contained, and the idea was the person driving it was inside that thing. But they don't have that trouble now with modern CG graphics, so they can actually put the person driving the bike, which is really cool. And they use their discs as weapons as they're going. Like, just look at this. Again, there's what I'm talking about. They're kind of like a part of the bike. They kind of morph into it. But these beautiful lines, just amazing, amazing vehicle design. Yeah, here's those rods I was talking about, which I think they appear in the original movie too. Yeah, in 1982. So they were. I didn't know that. Yeah, and here's a picture of the engine. Some more storyboards and things. Oof. Man, oh man, look at that. Beautiful design. That orange pops so much on screen too. Like, I really like the orange more than the blue. So here's the light cycle arena, or the Battle of the Grid, I think they call it. And yeah, some concept art and movie stills of that whole sequence. It's, whatever you say about Tron Legacy, because like I said, it got kind of a bum rep for whatever reason. People didn't like it as much as they thought they would. And if you haven't seen it and you just want to watch one sequence, watch the light cycle sequence. That whole thing is so well done. It's so cool. Here's another one of the color shifts that I was talking about. So that original test footage had like really saturated green and a more saturated blue, and they kind of shifted it. Like, this is more of a yellow now. And now I ended up shifting my original fan poster to mimic more of this color palette right here. And mine had a little bit more orange in it, but maybe I'll flash that up on the screen right now and you can have a look at that. And I did an original Tron poster too to kind of complete the trilogy. So yeah, here we go. And this is really cool because I think this is when Clue gets on the board, and we had to see that that really saturated orange, which really plays off that blue. Complementary colors, right? Very cool. Yeah, the Light Runner. So the Light Runner shows up and interrupts the whole battle. And again, just this like Tron version of a dune buggy. Very cool. Yeah, there it is there. My God, I want one of these in real life. Somebody out there, if you're a vehicle designer and you can make these things, please make me one of these Light Runners in real life. I would love to bomb around my hometown in this thing. Super cool. Yeah, and they build this is built to be in the light cycle arena, but also on the normal rough terrain of the outer world. So they had to build in these big grips that kind of pop out from the tires to give it that traction that it needs to go over rocks and dirt and that sort of thing. Yeah, there it goes. That's what I'm talking about. And this here as well, like everything in the Tron universe looks synthetic, including these rock shapes. So everything has this kind of almost brushed steel look, but it's supposed to be rocks, but you know, they look like fake rocks. You know, there's no straight lines in nature, but there is straight lines in the natural formations of the Tron universe. Very awesome. So here's Korra. Again, an amazing character design. And I was just reading up on this before making the video, and they molded her mask. When we first see her, she's masked, but they molded this based on Olivia Wilde's real head. And I didn't realize that, and I never noticed it before, but if you look at that jawline, I don't know if that shows up here, Olivia Wilde has a very distinct jawline, and you can see that actually mimicked in the mask, which is really cool. I'm really glad they didn't go with this version of her. This down here says her name was originally Paige, apparently. But I'm glad they didn't go with this. This doesn't show up on screen very well. But yeah, the white version, I think they might have taken this and made this more of Jem's design. But I'm glad they went with the black for Olivia Wilde. She looks great. Really good character design. And she has this kind of like half skirt that she wears as well. You can't really see it here, but maybe we'll see it in another shot. And there she is on that iconic love seat thing in Flynn's apartment. Yeah, in Flynn's apartment, it's kind of inside this rock formation, and we see the light coming out, and it's really static. And I think, you know, this, I don't know if they took inspiration from the end of 2001, A Space Odyssey. I didn't come across that in this book, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Yeah, here it is here. So I don't know if they took inspiration from 2001, A Space Odyssey, but it really does look like that end sequence when our fella ends up in that really white room. Yeah, and here's Kevin Flynn, the big reveal. So in the Tron universe, Kevin Flynn is supposed to be like this this legendary figure, this almost deity, the creator as they call him, and you know, and his design really mimics that. He has kind of this almost angelic or godlike design, and when he shows up later on in this cloak with the neon strip light down the front, it's just, man, so cool. There's our dude, and this is some bedrooms and things. Yeah, and here's the original light cycle. So the idea is Kevin Flynn has an original light cycle in his apartment in the movie, and you know, from the original movie, and this will play a part in Sam's trajectory through the story as well. It's so cool. Yeah, and here's the Tron City with this big like shard that kind of comes out. I think we saw that in a couple of previous images. So he's zooming into the city. He steals the original light cycle because it's something like it's like off the grid or something like that. It's not trackable. I think that's the idea. So he races across this big bridge to go back into the city to find some answers or to find a way home, basically. So he goes in there. We see those shards again, and here's a clay render of the city. So cool, this thing. And I love how they didn't really try to make it look like a circuit board or something like that. From what I remember, the original movie kind of mimicked the circuit board really, really closely, but you know, they just went really abstract with it. And you know, when a quote from Kevin Flynn is, you know, the circuits look like freeways, and you'll see these kind of light beams going, and it does really look like, you know, electrical pulses moving through a computer. Very cool. Oh, this umbrella in this concept design ended up in the original movie. Looks really cool. This whole sequence is really nice. In the rain. Oh man, this movie. Like, I want to live here. Like, this is the neighborhood I want to live in, right? Yeah, here's Jem. So we look at a little bit more of her character design, and she sort of looks like that original Korra design that I shouted out earlier, or Paige as she was called. But very cool. And again, I'm really glad they didn't do this weird ass ponytail coming out the back of her synthetic head. That is weird as hell. But very cool character design, and again, very plastic. She looks very, very synthetic, which plays into that sort of evolution idea of the programs. And she wears this translucent jacket, not unlike the one we see in Blade Runner. Very awesome. So now we're going to the End of the Line Club, which is like a nightclub for the programs to go and hang out in. It's the famous scene with Daft Punk in it, and I don't even know if we see Daft Punk in this art book, which is a shame. They're wearing their white versions of their helmets and stuff. So yeah, this was a very elaborate set, apparently, that they built. I mean, they built a number of elaborate sets for the movie, but this one here looked like the most elaborate. So, you know, you can see the cityscape back here when it was put in. This is probably a blue screen or whatever, but man, so cool. There we go. And this here is Michael Sheen as Zeus. and you see a couple of versions of him. And again, like, you know, I'm glad they ended up where they did. He has kind of this this David Bowie-esque kind of look, and he plays his cane like a guitar at one point. And yeah, he's an awesome character. And they made him look really synthetic as well. Like Michael Sheen has a really distinct profile, and they really played it up in the movie. Really great. Yeah, there he is there. Looks so good. Talking to Sam. He's the owner of the End of the Line Club, by the way. So then Flynn shows up. That's a great shot right there. Oh, and the hood of his outfit is lit from the inside too, which lights up his face really nice. Really cool. Oh, now this is probably my favorite part of this whole book, believe it or not. It's the character designs of all the people that populate the End of the Line Club. Like, very cool character design here, and it's people that might show up on screen for a couple of seconds, but I'm a big admirer of Masters of the Universe, all the He-Man characters, and Image Comics, and WWF Wrestling from the early 90s. All of that stuff plays into my character design. Whenever I'm designing characters for, say, Starcade or any of my other projects, all of that stuff waters into my designs, and I feel that's kind of the same way right here. You know, you put a little bit more goth, a little bit more sort of neo-noir designs in there, but all of that is in there. They have kind of these punk rock aesthetics, which is really cool. This girl kind of looks like Avatar, The Last Airbender, sort of, with that design on their head. But look at these badass designs. Like, this dude right here in particular with these, like, inverse tattoos that he has, this long hair, these, like, lit up visors. This is cool as hell. Like, these characters are awesome, and I don't know if any of these end up on screen in the movie, but wow, just awe-inspiring. I love this stuff so much. And here's a few more, so we get into like the bad guys, if you will, with the yellow and orange trim and these translucent visors that they're all wearing. Man, so cool. I would watch a movie based on any of those characters. So here's the Black Guard that's descending on the End of the Line Club, and they have these kind of parachute-like wings that come out. And my buddy Johnny Mitchell worked on Tron Legacy back in the day. He worked at a house out in Vancouver that did a lot of the visual effects. And it was either him or his team came up with the texture design that was inside these parachute gimmicks. And he didn't even know it was being used, I think, until the end of the movie. He saw it on screen, and he was like, yo, that's my pattern. Oh, look at this. Man, beautiful design. Coming up with these black guards, like, just absolutely beautiful. I don't know if there's anything I can say about this to do it justice, man. I absolutely love this design. So badass. My hat goes off to anyone that could design something that looks like this. All of these different vents and stuff. This must be like the aerial attack black guard. So rad. And these parachute structures just look so insectoid. Man, so cool. Kind of Rinsler-like too. Great character design. So we're outside the End of the Line nightclub, and we're going to be going on to this transport, which is basically a container ship or a barge, and it has these big kind of solar sails on it. So we're stowing away on this, and it's a great sequence. I'll just flip back. It's a great sequence that takes place on this thing. Cora gets infected with a virus, and Flynn has to basically operate on her, quote unquote. And the whole sequence was done by my pal G-Monk and some of his team. And it's a shame that none of that art is in here. If I can convince him to maybe do an interview on the channel, maybe we can show some of that footage, because he had some really, really dope stuff that he did with Flynn kind of like navigating through the circuitry and the programming of Cora to get that virus out of her. It's a really cool sequence, and yeah, I'd like to show that off, because none of it's in the art book, and that's a real shame. Yeah, and here's Clue's throne ship. Man, oh man, look at that design. Like, this is basically our Death Star, or our Star Destroyer in the Tron universe. And you know, those hot oranges, you know, because the whole time we were in the normal Tron universe with the blue highlights and stuff, and now we're in the bad guys' domain, so everything shifts from that blue to that orange, which is so great, because you know, the orange of the other characters popped off that blue, and now we have Sam's blue or white popping off of the orange. Fantastic. Man, oh man, look at these things. So this is Clue, in his full garb, and along with his black guards. Man, oh man. Absolutely stunning. I love this diagonal that goes right down the front, splits up in these bigger lines up here. Man, oh man, so good. And then we get the reveal of young Jeff Bridges. Now, you know, this again was in 2008 when this is being done. It looks a little bit dicey, but you know, this is a computer-generated world that we're dealing with. So the fact that he looks a little bit video gamey in this makes sense. It plays into the overall story. Yeah, just look at how his orange pops off that scene. Real great. And here we have older Jeff Bridges staring down younger Jeff Bridges. And there's one, you know, I don't have very many quibbles with the special effects. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, so who the heck am I to criticize? But when you get older, this contour right here kind of recesses a little bit. It kind of comes down. This is one of the things that always confused me about the movie, is that this contour right here is lower than the older version over here. So I don't know if they had like a, you know, a stand-in actor that didn't have quite the same jawline as Jeff Bridges or whatever, but that is one of those oversights that like that should be up a little bit higher. That'll add a little bit more youth to his past character. According to me, what the hell do I know, right? Oh, this scumbag here, Jarvis. Yeah, I like to think that Jarvis like made his own dope-ass visor to try to shield how like scummy he looks, but it just completely fails. This guy is such a dirtbag in the movie. He's just an absolute weakling. But he's a great weakling. Like, he plays into that part really well. Oh, look at this thing, the rectifier. So the rectifier, I believe, is where they bring all of the programs to get sort of adapted into Clue's army, because he's building an army and he wants to take over the Tron sort of universe. And you see all, it doesn't really show up on screen, but these are all like soldiers down here, and you'll see the orange down here and then the blue off to the side. So I believe these are containers full of other characters that haven't been rectified yet. They go through the process and then they become soldiers, and you know, Clue's going to use them to kind of wreak havoc on the world. And you see a couple of these giant, just sprawling environment designs. Just beautiful stuff. Yeah, and here's Joe Kosinski with Jeff Bridges discussing some of the scenes. And here we have another great sprawling scene with the runner on the way to Kevin Flynn's apartment. So that's it. That is the Art of Tron Legacy. I don't know if this book is available on eBay, on Amazon. I'm really not sure, because like I said at the beginning, these things tend to go out of print once the movie is finished its marketing cycle or whatever. But if you have the means and you're interested in this movie and the art and production of it, I highly recommend it. This is a lot of inspiration, and this is the book that I pull off of the shelf all the time if I'm doing environment design or character design, any of that kind of fun stuff, because this book is absolutely loaded. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Signalnoise broadcast. If you'd like to continue the conversation, join us on Discord at discord.gg/Signalnoise. And if you'd like to see what official products I have available, please drop by the Signalnoise store at store.signalnoise.com. I'll see you next time, and stay rad.